seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
'Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right. It's time for Morning Talk. It's Morning Talk. Be your host, J.C. McCauley. Of course, the champions of talk, Miss Cleo Duke-Wright is here. Good morning, Miss Cleo. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. How are you,
I
Steve?
got the graphic up before I got you up.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Yeah. I forgot to load the graphics, and so I had to load them while we were on the air, and that means that it loaded up with you being there. So that's okay though.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's all right. It never fails. There's always some sort of technical problem.
As long as we get to where we want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're here, right?
We're here.
All right.
We are where we need to be for such a time as this. How was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend was pretty good. Actually, it was. Well, I was sick.
Oh.
And I took Sunday off from everything and just rested. I ignored Cleo. I ignored all of those Cleos and just rested. And I felt much better on Monday. So I have to get a little schedule going about, okay, how do you do you? I don't know how you. A lot of people don't know how to do themselves. How do you do you? Stay healthy, as healthy as you can stay. So that's where I'm at right now. You know.
Self-care.
Self-care. I don't know how to do that. I absolutely don't know how to do that, and I think that's a sin. That must be a sin. You know, I don't know how to do that. Absolutely don't.
Well, maybe that's what Sundays are for. Or more specifically, the Sabbath day, the seventh day, which would of course be Saturday, not Sunday, but that day of rest.
Yeah, you really do need that. I mean, rest from everything. Rest from listening to that TV. Rest from, you know. So I did a little studying, but I just rested. Friends came over and we went down to community room in the building, and we just talked and ate snacks till they were all gone. And they brought me some snacks from church. So we just sat and talked and enjoyed ourselves for several hours, because that felt really good. So that's what we did. Yesterday something happened to me. I was sitting at the table and I was trying to look up my Facebook page, and a friend of mine said, well, I tried to get you, but I'm not a friend. They said, I'm not a friend of yours. I said, you've been on my page for years. What are you talking about? Come to find out, I don't know how many Facebook pages. I don't know how they got there. I don't know how I did that.
Oh wow! You may not have done that.
And I couldn't even get to my Facebook page, which was called Books with my picture. I couldn't get to. I said, take the whole damn thing off. I don't want anything to do with this Facebook stuff. But, I mean, there was so many, and they had a picture of me that someone had taken I didn't do these things. There must have been 3 or 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh no, I'm out of here. I'm not playing this game. I just can't do this. So I don't know how they got there because I only joined Facebook one time. That was years ago. So I have no idea.
There are a lot of attempts to clone Facebook pages. So people, they'll copy your page and steal your online identity. So there's fake pages. And they, garner some of your friends, and then they set up scams. So there's lots of times, because you'll hear people send out messages every once in a while. If you get a friend request from me, ignore it because it's not me. You're already one of my friends. So there's a lot of scamming going on.
Oh, because that happened where my relative said, had friend requests. And on one of these things, I have so many friend requests.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know half these people, so I just ignored it. I said, take it off. Take the whole thing off. Just wipe it out. But then it wasn't so easy to wipe out.
Well, I would imagine, since it's technically you can delete the Facebook pages you don't want. Just delete them.
Well, I was trying to do that yesterday, so I will continue to try to do it. I don't want to be on Facebook anymore. No, because that really...
For a lot of people, Facebook is the internet. That's their whole presence, social presence.
It was that easy to do and get all those accounts. What do I want it? I don't want it. Because I can't control that. None of it.
Yeah. Well, we can't afford not to be on Facebook. I mean, me and the network, because Facebook is our primary target.
Yeah.
Facebook. We're on YouTube. We have very extensive YouTube, but we use YouTube more for archiving, if you will. We don't really push YouTube. But we have we're on Facebook. We have many viewers on Facebook, much more so than YouTube.
Ooh.
Hundreds more than on
Really?
Facebook than YouTube. Yeah.
Well, it's not something that I want to navigate because I don't have enough knowledge. This year, I have been scammed so many times and learned about scams on me that have been going on 4 years that I've about had it with internet stuff and putting out my information and all of that stuff. It's just too much.
And the scammers are out there en masse, and they are I'm hearing more and more horror stories of people who have been scammed, particularly seniors.
Yeah.
Which I am one of. A senior. I haven't been scammed yet, but I'm a senior.
Yes. You're a baby senior.
I'm a baby senior.
Well,
baby senior,
You're getting there.
How old are you? I'm 5.5. Back in the days when the half age was big. 12.5. I'm almost 13. A tween.
Oh, I can remember being 13. I kept saying 13. I'm 13. I'm a teenager.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh yes, I remember those years.
Yeah. 64 is like a baby senior. You're not a real senior.
Yeah,
You're not a real senior. Go somewhere and sit down, son. I have a friend of mine. He is 60. Well, he's like 69. And he still talks to me like I'm a kid. Like I'm young pup. I mean, what are you talking about?
My aunt used to do that to me, and I'm saying when she was my age. She's about 15 years older than me.
Well, 15 is a little distance.
15. She's about 15 years older than me.
Because you're 15, they're 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once you get to be, 60 and they're 75.
Yeah.
The gap starts to narrow when you get, 40 and up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I went to a birthday party this weekend. I was recording it. And she was celebrating her 100th birthday.
I bet you she don't feel any different than she always feels.
She's 100 years old, and it was clear that she was still large and in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Quite capable of, expressing herself. But she had that mom. You could see her giving the mom look to certain people, and they got right in line. And she's 100. Ruth Dixon. I think her name is Ida Ruth. I have an aunt, Ida Ruth. But it was very nice. Very nice. 100 years old. Happy birthday. 100 years old. But Miss Pittman was at her birthday party. And so was, I can't think of her name. She was the young one. There was one of the late, I think Miss Pittman is 103.
Mm-hmm.
And the other lady whose name just escapes me, it just escapes me. It's 102. And the young lady there was 100. There's 3 people at her party sitting at the head table. They were 100 years old. In their right mind.
How real is that when we're coming up?
It's very real, apparently, because there's 3 people there, 100. And this is one of those events where the African tradition, as perceived here in Hartford, because a lot of times Americans make traditions of things that really aren't as traditional as they think they are.
Mm-hmm.
But here in Hartford, it is very common that you gain the permission of the elders before we proceed.
Yeah.
And so they started off, is there anyone in the room 65 or older? Almost everybody.
Everybody was.
Like almost everybody in the room raised their hand. 70. Still a whole lot of people with their hands up, 75. And the hands started diminishing. And so, you're working your way up to 100. And
all of them raised their hands up.
So,
Yeah.
And so I've been to many events where Sister Nandi is the oldest person in the room. I hear now she's nowhere near the oldest person.
Oh.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, this is her aunt. This was her aunt.
Sister Nandi's
aunt. Sister Nandi's aunt. The Dixons.
Well, there's a lot of Dixons in Hartford.
Mm-hmm. So, but it was a nice event. But that's great when you can celebrate. There were 5 generations in the room. 5 generations.
Isn't that nice?
Mm-hmm. 5 generations. So these are the things you don't hear on the news.
My aunt had a 5 generation. My uncle's wife.
Mm-hmm.
There were 5 generations. We thought that was fantastic.
That is
that
fantastic.
Five generation of women.
Wow.
5 generation of women. Yep. We don't, in my side of the family, or my parents either side,
Mm-hmm.
we don't live we don't live that long. We don't live to be. But I'm very old compared to my parents and their parents. They didn't live to be 70. Well, 70 is about the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Grandmother died at 73.
Mm-hmm.
So Ines, Philip, and I thought that 70 was about the limit for us. And our friends whose parents and grandparents lived a lot longer than our parents did. We used to have these visions, and my sister was telling me how she had these visions of her laying in a box and them looking at her.
Laying in a box.
she said, "Who would have thought, Cleo, we would have passed 70 and they're gone and we're still here?" And all three of us are still here.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have ever thought that? We always thought that they would, because our people in our family just kept dying so young. We thought that so would we. And we're still here, and our friends a lot of them, just a few left, are gone. The ones we thought were going to be here like forever, to be 100 years old, like their grandparents were, and their parents.
Mm-hmm.
Their parents were in their 90s when they passed. So, but it's up to God. We can't tell who's going and who's not going. So
yeah. These are things that powers greater than us get to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Who goes when? There's an appointed time, but until that time comes, there's 100 years old. I think 100 is the new 70.
Oh, it can't be. But I've heard of people being 107, 112.
Yes.
I've heard of that.
Yes.
And someone told me just this year that they had a relative that was 112. I kind of believed him, but I said 112.
Mm-hmm.
He said yes. But I can remember as a child, ex-slaves going on TV and telling us about the Civil War.
Mm.
And they were just children when it was a Civil War, and they'd come on, these old people, and they would tell us about the Civil War. And they were still living during the Civil War. So it hasn't been that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
People say, "Oh, don't think about that anymore. It's in the past." I get so mad when they say that. Don't think about that. That's in the past. And I really get upset about it if the person doesn't look like me. That's in the past. It happened a long time ago. You heard that. It happened a long time ago. I get a little upset. I said, "Oh, you can forget about this past, but you can't forget about that past, right?"
Right. Very selective memory. I choose not to remember that part of the past, but this part of the past I do. Yeah. Yeah. So folks are getting. Now my dad will be 91 in this month. He'll be 91.
Isn't that wonderful? You still have a parent.
Yeah, 91. He's not happy because he doesn't have a car right now. So.
You mean he can't? They won't let him drive.
No, he can drive. He wants to drive. It's just his car's indisposed right now, so he kind of trapped.
Oh.
But you were talking about friends passing. And, I think when you have had lifelong friends for so long, that you don't really consider making new friends because you have friends. And they've been friends for so long. But what happens when you outlive your friends and you come down to where there's like you're the only one left?
Well, I don't. Do I have? I have a few new friends, but basically my friends are my friends from childhood. I have two friends. They're married.
Mm-hmm.
They were teenage sweethearts, and they married different people. Then they eventually married each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been friends since one from grade school, her from grade school, and him from high school,
Mm-hmm.
and we're still friends. And I have friends from kindergarten. There's some that is still around. We're gonna have a family class reunion.
Mm-hmm.
In September, a luncheon. I said, "Oh gosh, a luncheon! We can't even dance. What's a luncheon?" But I'm going,
Mm-hmm.
and it's for 3 classes: 63, 64, and 65. Weaver classes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be going there, and I heard, some of the people who are organizing it. Haven't heard their names in a while, so it was good to see their names.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be good to see people 3 classes. So we're going to, it's going to be a good time, in September. But who are you going to miss? The ones you were closest to are not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
At the class reunion. That's going to be sad.
It's interesting because I've been in Hartford since 1979, so there are people that I've known for 30, 40 years, if you will, But I don't. It's interesting, at least to me, to hear of people who've been friends since kindergarten, because I've actually had people tell me about people that they don't like because they did not like them in kindergarten. I mean, that's amazing to me. He never liked me since kindergarten.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's visceral. I mean, it's like they go back in time and remember.
Well,
stole my milk, marbles,
Yeah, at the senior center, there are people there that I was never one of the popular ones. I was the quiet one sitting in the corner eating potato chips or something like that. But and I didn't think too much of them then. And I didn't think too much because they were socially connected.
Mm.
They were socially connected.
Mm-hmm.
They had boyfriends, and they kind of snubbed the little people like me. So not really snub me, but they were just being teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see them, I see that same thing. I see that same thing, and I see that same behavior. And I see them looking at me and in the same way I've always seen them look at me. But the thing is, one thing I did do, I was very sorry I did this. But someone came up to me, and she looked like one of those people from high school. I didn't know her in high school, but she looked like one of them people from high school.
Mm-hmm.
And she had that attitude. And she came to the table where I was, and she said to me, you're going to have to get in line. I looked at her like, who the you think you are talking? I mean, I was ready to bust her in the mouth. And but I did that. I sat there and I just gave her this look.
Uh-huh.
It must have been a horrible, horrible look, because that lady won't come nowhere near me. She won't come anywhere near me or talk to me when I'm out, even if I say hello. And I feel very bad that I did that. But that feeling of when I was a teenager and them talking to me or laughing at me just came over me when she was talking to me, and I was you're not getting away with that now, you know. And I was ready to, I attacked, and you know those attacks that you do with your behavior, not with so much physically fighting or anything, but with your lips and with your eyes.
Well, the
they could be worse.
Body language is very powerful. I mean, there's a whole lot is said that isn't verbal.
Yeah, and you know, I've had supervisors that I didn't like how they talked to people or how they approached me, and I didn't talk to them. When they went past, I just look at them. You know, I wouldn't say anything. Never said this one supervisor. I never said anything to her. But you know, that lady wouldn't talk to me for anything in the world. Even after she would, I said, you know, what did I do that was so? But it's something, some kind of body language, some kind of something that you say with your eyes or with your body or something. Come mess with me if you wanna. I'm gonna stand right here. And people can feel that, and it has not done me well sometimes. It has done me well sometimes, but a lot of times, and not being a team player, thinking it has given me a lot of disservice. Has, you know, and I've been thinking about that this week, and going back and saying, if this thing happened this time, and then it happened again there, and then it happened again there, and then it happened again there, there's something about you. That's something's going on about you, about me, not about the situation, but something going on about me, and that's why you're at a certain place in your life, because it's not that anyone particularly dislikes you or likes you or whatever. It's how you are projecting yourself. Because I years and years ago, when I was going for promotion, and I asked the director, why didn't I get this promotion? You know, and I didn't understand what she was saying. She said, you do your job and everything, but we don't know who you are. I didn't understand what she was talking about. But I had friends I went out with and stuff, but I didn't cling to any group. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it was that. But that kind of attitude just kept coming on and on and on and on. So it is definitely something that I'm doing, that I'm projecting. I still, my sister says that too. I don't know. It's just who I am, I suppose.
There's a there's a whole set of there's such complexity in how we communicate. Body language. Some people talk their hands, their expressions, their faces, the gestures they roll. You know, all of those things communicate, and even down to how you dress and wear your hair. And if you don't conform at some point and in some way, the group rejects you. And you just, they see you as odd person out, and you're just not embraced. So a lot of times people say, well, I always wind up getting fired. There's something wrong with those people. Well, like you say, I mean, maybe it's not them. It could be something that, something that you're doing, something I'm doing, or whatever the case is that they don't like. And so it's kind of like, well, should all 20 of them change for me, or do I change for them? And there's that group of people who are unique, self-actualized, and they're not changing for anybody. But there's a price to pay for that, and that's a little isolation. If you don't want to go along with the group, then you won't be part of the group.
That's just the way it is. So I'm just learning about some of these things, and I can remember this the dean, the provost. He was the provost at that time at the cathedral. I did not know my goals were one thing. His goal was another thing. But he was in charge of the whole building. So he wanted to be in charge of the whole building. I could be in charge of what I did. But he wanted to be seen as being in charge of everything. Whether he was in charge of everything or not, I don't think it really mattered, as long as it appeared as though he was in charge of everything. He would have been very agreeable with me, as long as people looked at him as the boss. I didn't know that. I didn't care if he was the boss, But those are things. And when my boss talked to me about that, I said, well, that wasn't my goal. Why didn't you tell me that? I didn't know that. He didn't tell. And he just looked at me. I said, I didn't know that. I didn't know what my goals were. I wasn't thinking about the whole scheme of things in the whole cathedral. I was just thinking about getting the people that I work with from one point to another point, or something like that. But that's isolation. I was doing that in isolation, even though they were helping me so much. But there came to a point where you can't be bigger than me. And you got to sit back. I didn't have any idea. I was not socialized. Nobody socialized me when I was coming up. My parents weren't in club meetings. They didn't socialize. We just socialized within the family. And to me, now I know that's a dangerous thing. Because you're going to let your kids out into the world. They're going to have to deal with other people besides the family.
That is true. But, with workplace, I guess school is the first place you learn how to socialize. But like workplace politics and workplace culture and the unspoken, unwritten rules that you have, that if someone doesn't shepherd you along, you won't know. Like you have a division or a little corporate meeting or whatever, and when the supervisor or the boss comes in, everybody has supposed to stand up, or no one stands up. Everybody sits down. You stand up out of respect because this is what you've always been taught, and now you're the odd man out, odd gal out, and everyone's looking at you kind of crazy. Or don't ever go into the office and ask for anything before 10 o'clock. After they have the first cup of coffee, then you can have a conversation. But don't wait. If they haven't have a coffee, unless you're taking a cup of coffee in there, don't go in. I mean, all these kind of things that everyone knows except the new guy.
Right.
The new gal. And you're in trouble immediately. And, sometimes the rest of the group treats the new person, you get the kind of like, what do you call those, initiation kind of things. But sometimes they just don't like you from the jump, and you're done. You're done.
That's right.
You're done. It's you're done. You're not gonna make your probation. It's not gonna happen. You just don't know it yet.
You walk into I could walk into I was a director of Christian Ed.
Mm-hmm.
In every church, and I have been religious educator in about six or seven churches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In every situation, I always was friends with the custodian.
Mm-hmm.
And never with the management. That is, you think about years later, where the management was trying to mesh with me,
Mm-hmm.
they were trying. They didn't dislike me. They hired me,
Right.
They liked my work, and but I couldn't mesh with. I didn't mesh with them. The secretary and the maintenance man.
The regular people.
Yeah.
The real folk.
So I never quite got that social, and I felt very uncomfortable in management in the social arena, and they socialized.
Yeah, you have to be a social creature.
I didn't always socialize well, and I remember going on retreats and everyone was socializing and partying and everything, and I would leave and go to my room and read my books.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I socialized for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but it got boring, and so I leave. I mean, all this talking and drinking, I was tired of that. I would go, but so I never really kind of learned, or wasn't interesting enough.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. It's just probably the way I was, but it never worked for me. Me and management just never, ever worked, because they would do something, or I would do something that I thought was not. They had no integrity. I mean, they do something that I thought was horrible to somebody else, and expected me to go along with things. And then I would do things that they said, "What are you doing? You can't do that." I said, "Yeah, because I'm trying to do this over here." And they would give me the signal, not say no, but give me the signals to cut it out. But I didn't get the signals. I went straight ahead, and I usually accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. But to what degree? I don't know.
Yeah, the compliant few get through. If you're willing to be compliant and do the things that everybody is doing, then you're embraced and welcome into the group. If you're an outlier, you're part of the school system and you're trying to help a group of kids that no one else thinks are worthy of being helped, you're done. If you're in the doctor group and you don't do the things that all the other doctors do or all the nurses do, you're done. If you're a cop, you don't hold up the code blue, you're done. It doesn't matter what group you're in. Construction workers, steel workers, every group has its unwritten rules, codes.
Yeah.
And if you don't conform, then all of them work. And I don't think it's necessarily a conspiracy, but all of the agents that keep this group a group start working against you, and you wind up on the outside looking in.
Well, I've just realized that no, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I just think you didn't fit in there.
Right.
You didn't recognize the signals. They're maybe signals to tell you that you know,
Mm-hmm.
certain things ought to be a certain way. Um, but if I did understand the signals, would I have changed and went the other way? I don't even know if I still would do that.
You probably would not have. You're
Yeah.
unique. Some people frequency is just slightly off. They're unique. And so they're not vibrating the same way as everyone else. And they're not ever going to. And they're good with that.
Yeah. I mean,
They're good with that. I mean, you
live a lifetime like that.
right, and that just is what it is. You know, the nonconformists, and there's in every setting there's a group of nonconformists. You know, if I had to get, I'd say anywhere from 10 to maybe upward to 30% of any group. There's those who they're not going to go with the rest of the crowd. They're not going with the rest of the crowd. You know, semi-contrarians. You know, you got the full contrarians where no matter what you say or do, they're on the other side. That's a beautiful sunny day. Well, if you like to be burned by the sun, I mean, you know, there's you know, well, it's kind of hot. Well, you know, it's a great day to get a tan. You know, it's you know, you can't win.
You can, yeah. You can't. I just suppose you just have to kind of be yourself. But these are kind of some of the things that I've been thinking about because just looking at self, saying, "Wow." All this time, because you've disliked people, and it really didn't have anything to do with you, the disliking of you, but of the fact that you could not conform to this, that, or the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember after they laid me off, I refused a luncheon or something. I said, that's all right. My boss came down on my last day, and I stayed to the very end. My last day. And I was sitting in the chair and looking around, thinking, oh my God, 16 and a half years feeding these people and doing all of these things, and it's all over now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm just looking around, just being quiet. And he comes through the door, and he says, we know that you care.
Mm-hmm.
We all know you care.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you know, he said his goodbyes. And he walked back out the door. We know. We already know, Cleo. But they were going in a direction that I was not.
Right.
They were going to go in a direction that I probably would have had a fit about. I would have had a fit about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they got rid of me, and they went on their way to wherever they, you know, their direction that they wanted to go.
Yeah. Yeah, the necessity and the need to be part of the team. And if you're not a team player, you know, I could have been, you know, people will say to me all the time, well, you know, you should have ran for city council. You'd be much so further ahead. You know, if you play.
Well, I've heard that 100 times.
If I had $20 for every time I've been told that. But it's true. But, you know, I can't. I just can't. I can't. I would like to, but I can't. I'm just a nonconformist. And there's some things you have to be willing to conform. And then you wind up being disruptive to the greater. You wind up being disruptive to the whole. That's not to say all of society, but the group that's running things is a system in place. There's rules in place, and then you come across something you don't like, and now there's a problem. Take one for the team. You're not taking one for the team.
I wanted to be part of the team when I was on the town committee. I did want to be part of the team, but when they went for a person that I just could not see, I said, Everything in me said no. That you just go along with the team, don't care. Just say this person, And I couldn't say it. It's not that I didn't want to say it, but I couldn't say it. And some of the things they talked about, I just could not. It just, so many things. I said, I can't do this. Oh, and then they asked. They didn't ask. But to me, they were asking when they said, just follow the person that brought you in. And every time there was a vote coming up, they would just count these votes that, I brought in 10 people, I got 10 votes. Well, I don't even know the situation. What do you mean you got 10 votes? That means me. You got my vote.
I'm
too.
one of the 10. I'm not in agreement with what y'all are talking about.
I felt like a mindless person. I felt like I didn't count now. I don't count. Because the only thing that counts is that person.
Right.
Because they brought you in. And I felt like I was not allowed to think. Well, that did not sit well. And I knew it when she first told it to me, but I didn't understand how important it was. I knew it. I could have told her when she told me. When she said, now when you come in, anyway I vote, you vote, you have to vote. I knew when she told me that wasn't going to be the case. And I should have said, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not the one to do this. But I did say that. I said, I'm going to go in town committee. That sounds really nice. All that stuff. I was really happy about it, even though I didn't realize I was running for the town committee. They didn't even tell me I was running for the town committee. They just told me, hey, come and help this person. I said, all right, I'm going to help that person. Come and get these names. I said, okay, I'll come and get those names because I trusted the person that I was working with. And then they said, you're 116. You're going to be elected with us, Cleo. I said, no, I'm not going to be elected. I was just helping you do this, that, and the other. He said, no, Cleo, because if you don't help us, if you go out, then we won't have enough people. So they got to put the guilt thing on you. But I was never in politics, so they never told me that I was actually running for town committee. But then they were sorry to ask me after a while. I didn't. Probably because I didn't go along with.
We got to get rid of Cleo.
Yep.
We got to get rid of her. This is not going to work.
No, that's.
So next we need to drop her off.
He dropped me off like boom. Yeah, but see, I still didn't understand. But now I think that I kind of getting to understand that I don't feel so bad about it. I understand the job. I understand they want to go in a different direction. I understand the town committee, why they didn't, even though I didn't think they were very nice about it. Didn't. And I'm glad that when I ran on my own with, and I had a team of 16, some working for me, some working against me. Yeah, they weren't working for me, really. They weren't working for me. And I understand that, so it's easier on my mind now that I understand.
Yeah, as you were talking, it comes to my mind that I think part of the disconnect is that a lot of times groups and organizations fail to communicate to people coming in that this is indeed a team. You think that you have individual freedom.
You don't.
When in essence you don't. It's like now everyone understands if you're on a football team, there's things that, because the team is working as one, or a relay team, or anything that's really team.
Right.
But you don't know that some things are team. You think that you've got your individual freedom, that the reason you're there is to contribute what you bring.
Yeah.
You don't see yourself as just another part of this, theoretical whole, and you have to do X, Y, and Z. Right. And so you find out that this is a team sport, and you're like given a task that accomplishes something for the whole. And they kind of have to ease you into the fact that you're part of this.
But
team.
you really can't, unless you're a very strong person like Trump. You really can't do anything by yourself. You can't have a successful business without other people. You really can't do anything by yourself.
No one does anything by themselves, ultimately.
Right. And that's my whole change of my whole thinking in my businesses that didn't, are not here anymore. Is because I tried to do everything by myself. And I didn't have a team. I didn't develop people to come in. I didn't, what's that saying? You're growing up. If you work hard enough, you'll make it. Just keep working hard. Just keep working hard. But that's not the case. You got to know how to work hard. It's not all about you. So, yeah. I learned this late in life. I hope some of you learn it a whole lot earlier than I did.
Yeah. But, some of these things take time because it's the wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom. And wisdom requires time. That's one thing younger people don't quite get. There's a difference between book knowledge, experience, and wisdom. And a lot of times people have a lot of book knowledge but have no wisdom. And sometimes people have pretty good experiences, but they don't. It's not stacked up with wisdom. Wisdom comes with time. And there's much value in being older and getting older. And I always think to myself, imagine how much wisdom you would have if you got to be 200 years old.
Wow. And what you would have seen and what you could share.
Oh, it's just, we are at such a loss because we don't have that institutional wisdom. If you had the institutional wisdom, and that happens to a lot of companies.
Respect for the elders.
Yeah.
We don't have enough respect for the elders. You look at them and say, all right. I listened to my grandmother. I truly listened to my grandmother, and I listened to my parents. Of course, you have to learn how to drop off some of the things that they tell you. As you get older, you find out different things. But until you find them out, I followed them. And I said, well, no. And they believed what they believed with their life experience. But I'm a lot older than my parents ever got.
You have more wisdom now.
I have more. Right. Right. I have a little wisdom anyway.
Right. So if people can give you something, get wisdom. And, if you can gain wisdom and build on that, I think it serves you better to have a starting point of wisdom than book knowledge or experience. Wisdom. Because you can build on wisdom. Experiences come and go. And information changes.
Yes.
But wisdom is eternal. Yeah.
Well said.
All right. Well, I guess we'll with that we'll take our break here and get Jonathan Small in studio and see what's on his mind. I'm sure something's going on with Jonathan. Something is wrong. I know that something is broken or wrong, needs to be fixed. Jonathan will be here.
Well, that's not very hard to find in this world.
That's for sure. All right. Well, thanks, Miss Cleo, for coming in. We'll see you next week.
Okay.
Have a great rest of your week and a good weekend coming up.
I plan to.
All right.
I plan to.
All right. You look quite nice. You're all dolled up.
Oh, I have to, I thought that I was wearing too many jeans. I don't look good in jeans, but I tried to do that because they're comfortable. But I said, I'm trying to look my age. I'm trying to look like a dignified older woman. That's what I'm trying to look like.
All right. Well, you look quite dignified today.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. You all stick and stay. We'll be right back. Little Jay Hogarth. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I could listen to this all day. Deluge. Jay Hogarth. And nice drum solo. Yeah, this was it was an honor.
Yeah.
And a privilege to be in that historic Van Gelder studio recording the incomparable Jay Hogarth.
Yeah. You have high praise for him.
Absolutely. And to be in that studio, I mean, the greatest of the greatest of the greatest recorded in there. And for a long time, you couldn't take cameras or video or anything into the studio. Mm-hmm. And, yeah.
Where's that studio located at?
It's in New Jersey, overlooking New York. Inglewood Cliffs.
Inglewood Cliffs? Okay.
You get off the bridge in, oh, wow. I knew I should have been doing something.
Yeah, I got no head, no top head.
There we go.
Okay.
It's a nice thing about the new system. Just push a button and it focuses right in.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Jonathan Small joining us. So, what's on your mind, Jonathan?
Truthfully, I don't know if this is a nice problem. I said I would bring it up. Thought about it. Let's say, Stan, you happen to fall into. Well, first of all, how are you doing, Stan? Hopefully, you're doing fine.
Who, me? I'm doing great.
Okay, you always seem to be upbeat or
I'm
busy.
I am very, very. I'm more busy now than I've ever been. However, I'm doing very, very great. Right.
And you like to stay busy, I guess.
I like to stay busy. I am busy on my own schedule. My schedule is mine to control, but I am very busy.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling when you can be in control of what you like to be busy on and control your time the best you can.
Yes.
So that's a good deal.
Right. And I've been known to be prickly. I'm prickly. I'll own being prickly. But so and then I can, I pick and choose what I want to do. So I'm blessed beyond measure.
You're kind of like an entrepreneur. You're like your own boss, self-employed, self-controlled.
Yeah.
Not tied into an 8-hour shit. You like to make your own 8 hours.
Make my own 8 hours. Only been fired once. That was the last time.
Okay.
I'll never be fired from my job again.
Right.
Because
hard to fire yourself.
Hard to fire yourself. Now, I have fired myself for egregious acts of incompetence. But since I'm the only one working for me, I'm always forced to hire me back.
and again, your whole operation is called Light Source Victory. That's
Light Source Productions.
Light Source Production.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the whole operation and everything.
Yeah.
Light Source Production. Well, Stan, let's say you notice you've never seen, and maybe you've seen it, but I can say I've never seen. You've never seen a $250,000 Lamborghini SUV in the city, have you?
I've seen Lamborghinis.
In the city, you've seen a quarter.
I've seen Lamborghinis. Yeah, I'm just a car. Every once in a while, someone will drive by. Over by the Bushnell. I live downtown, so you could see someone driving through a Lamborghini or the Bentley Sport 2-door coupe.
Yeah, but that's not. Well, I guess you could say that's the city. I mean, that's not.
Rolls. Now, when you talk about city, you talk about the city of Hartford or any city?
Well, you live in Hartford. You're living in the city. I mean, you go to Atlanta, like somebody said a long time ago, it's not a big deal to see a Rolls Royce.
Right. You don't see lots of them in Hartford, but there's plenty of people in Connecticut have Lamborghinis.
Well, obviously you got Greenwich, Connecticut now where the money, the Gold Coast. That's why I said the inner city.
Right. Don't forget, Hartford is the state capital. And there's a lot of people with lots of money coming up into Hartford for political reasons, for meetings, all kinds of stuff. So
that's true.
You might see, it's not like you're going to see them parked on the street everywhere, but you might see one drive through.
Yeah. I've never seen an SUV luxury Lamborghini.
Well, I can't say I've seen the Lamborghini SUV.
That's kind of the newer versions. It's not totally new, but it's more newer. Because the Lamborghini kind of is like on the same scale as the Ferrari. Might even be a little surpass the Ferrari. Because the Ferrari was one of the first Italian luxury sports cars that's on top of the line. Used to look at Miami Vice. You would see, episodes every now and then on Lamborghini. But the whole point is, Stan, let's say you were born and raised resident Hartford here in this case. It could be any inner city. And you run across $10 million, some investment, just however you got it, legally, hopefully, and you want to stay in this, in the inner city. You don't want to go out to Avon to feel more comfortable. You just love your inner city. You love your city, and let's say you live on Richfield Street, and you're pretty. I guess you could say Richfield's a pretty nice overall street, some nice homes, pretty safe, quiet place. So you own a home on Richfield Street. You got now $10 million put aside. So you want to either knock down your house, build a mini mansion, or you just want to redevelop it, remodel it, add on some additions. But it's going to stand out, though. Because, you got, let's say, $1 million easy to drop into it. And then you always wanted a dream luxury vehicle. So let's say your dream luxury vehicle happens to be a Lamborghini SUV. So now you got another $400,000 easy to pay in cash for a brand new Lamborghini, red on top of that. So you know that's gonna draw attention.
Right. You got to order it though. You know.
You got to order it, right? So
Makes sense. It's not like just sitting in the showroom. You know. So.
yeah, so you don't go, like, if you want a Rolls Royce, you don't go to a Rolls Royce dealership anymore.
Well, you could go to a Rolls Royce dealership. You might get some, but generally, people who want Rolls Royces, they know what they want, and they're generally, you know, a little customized. You know, you're not like, I gotta have it this afternoon.
Right.
You know.
So you put an order in. Okay.
It's not like a Chevy.
Right. So you put an order in now. You got a $400,000. You want let's say you want the top of the line. You know, you want 2024. You got top of the line. You want red on top.
Corinthian leather.
Oh yeah,
red on red with you know, embroidered with your initials on the on the back of the headrest.
Yeah. So now
old trim wheels.
I guess you could say, trim wheels, the rims, everything. You know, now you want, on top of that, you want the high power sound systems, subwoofers. So what they call
subwoofers, yeah.
Woofers, yeah. So you're going
the whole
gonna
nine.
blast the whole nine. So you might even spend up another $100,000.
Kevlar lined.
What's that?
Kevlar lined, bulletproof.
Bulletproof. Well,
run flat tires.
I would assume you're gonna have security.
Hey man, you drive around with that kind of money and that kind of car and that kind of person. You want personal security is not an accident.
Well, now you kind of answer some other questions. Now that so now you have this mini mansion on Ridgefield Street. You have a $400,000.
Oh, hold up now.
Something wrong?
I know every single house on Ridgefield Street.
You do?
I can see them in my mind right now. And if I have $1 million, is the mini mansion in addition to the other place I live, or is this is I'm living on Ridgefield Street with a $500,000 car? That's not happening.
Yeah, you got the house, so you're either gonna knock it down and build another mansion on scratch, or
I'm not building it on Ridgefield Street.
So you wouldn't. So now you're not answering a question that I was gonna ask you about. So you wouldn't feel comfortable, would be the word, building a mansion? Or see, you love Ridgefield Street.
I like Ridgefield Street. Now, if you talk about putting this thing on Scarborough Street,
yeah,
but you pick Ridgefield. Well, I don't have a problem with Ridgefield. You need a nice Keeney Park is there. You look out over and this, that, the third. But why would you build a million? It's not difficult to get to $1 million. So let's pump up the price of that
$2 million?
house. Let's make it a $4 million house.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
$4 million.
So you do a $4 million house on Ridgefield Street, then now you won't be able to sell it to anybody.
So that's your reason, then you
right, because you're outpricing the houses in the neighborhood, and why would you that's just it's not a good investment. It's nothing. It's not a slight against Ridgefield Street or Canterbury or and in other streets over there. But you're not going to be able to sell the house. It's just not a good investment. You have that kind of money to build a house. You also have the brain power to figure out where to put that kind of house.
So Ridgefield,
and it ain't on Ridgefield Street.
Okay, so that's a bad investment side to build the house.
To build a $4 million house, yes.
Yeah. Well, I was just going by the perspective of someone that lives on Ridgefield Street. They don't want to leave Ridgefield Street, and they just want to build their house where they live at. But you saying it's a bad investment.
Maybe they have the kind of money that they can throw into a house built. So I don't want to mess up your hypothetical. So,
because that's all it is.
Because that's all it is. I like to mess with people when they do hypotheticals because they change the rules as you go along, and so you can never win the argument with a hypothetical. Yeah. So let's say you got your $4 million house on Ridgefield, gold plated fence and all that. So you could pump the price up. So I'm with you. Go ahead.
So, but you're saying that it's not. You're looking at it towards an investment side, but I was going to try to wonder, would it be a high security risk for you now? Because people are going to know that you got a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a high security risk.
It is a high security, so it's not a good safety. It's not a good safety method.
How much money do I have?
Well, I said $10 million.
Okay, so I'm a $10 million man. That's a little flamboyant.
Yeah. So, but
the $500,000 car, tear down my old house, build a $4 million house. I got 10 million liquid, and I am, everyone knows I'm there. It's not like I have. There's a lot of people in Hartford with millions of dollars that you would be very shocked and surprised to find out they had that kind of money.
Yeah.
They're not, all glitzy and, letting everyone know how much money they have.
You keep it low profile.
Absolutely.
Okay. But you wouldn't, but I mean, if you live in Beverly Hills, you don't keep it low profile. So it all depends where you live.
Right.
Okay. So that's not a good, it's not a good investment.
Down in Greenwich,
Connecticut. You got,
right.
Okay. So.
Or off the, Sound with a huge mansion and gated and security and all kinds of other stuff.
But that means now you're forced to really leave.
Yes.
Because it's just too much of a security risk.
Yes.
It's going to stand. You can't hide money now. That people are going to look at your house and say, this guy got to have, this person who owns 50 Richfield Street, I'm just making that number up.
Yeah, with much comes with much.
So the people in the city wouldn't look at this person with sense of pride. It would bring enviness and jealousy.
Now, the problem isn't the people that like you. The problem is the one individual,
right,
who sees you as someone who could be exploited, shaken down, kidnapped, your children, all that stuff.
Oh boy.
Make allegations against you for, to exploit money from you, accuse you of something you haven't done. All these things are very, very real.
Well, see, that's why somebody said a long time ago, when you born and then grew up in the hood or the inner city and you run across a lot of money, you almost, if you're going to move up in a certain standard, you're going to have to leave, because it's just too much of a risk factor. I guess, I had a friend one time on my old street. I didn't even know that he had a BMW, and he had one of the top of the line BMWs, because he always kept a low profile. He had it in the garage. He had this little work vehicle that he had. So I was surprised one day. I wasn't shocked, but I was a little surprised that he said he was taking a family, emergency trip. And I was just surprised that he had, because he just kept a low profile. Me and him kind of was friends, and I just never knew that he had a luxury BMW. So if you're driving around in a Lamborghini SUV down Upper Albany Avenue,
you're going to stand out.
You're going, but the jealousy and the fact that somebody now may want to steal your vehicle, may want to, that's going to come up.
I wouldn't put that on. Just because you have gained a lot doesn't mean all of a sudden your neighbors and the community around you is going to become envious and jealous. They may be very well champions and glad.
That's what I was wondering.
If you're the kind of person who shares what they have, and you don't have to share all of it or even scratch the surface, but the fact that you're giving and contributing to the community, people will respect that. So the problem isn't that you came into wealth and are there. If you come into enormous amounts of wealth, then there are issues associated with the wealth. What do you do with all of the interest? Who's going to manage the money? Is the person you're going to manage the money going to be trustworthy? How do you know they're going to be trustworthy? You don't. You don't know them. So now you have to find the right kind of people. That's going to cost you money. Things change. Yeah. Now, there will be people who will now know that you have money. They'll be asking you for money every 5 minutes. I need this. I need that. Stop by your house. All kinds of stuff. All kind of hardship issues because they figure you got money. If you have big money, now it becomes a security risk. And you have to adjust yourself accordingly. And so there's a lot to, and it's not the fact that you grew up in the hood or was poor and came into money. Anyone that comes into money has that issue. Right. And a lot of people are well-to-do. They're not hurting. They're not in debt. They have some disposable income, but maybe they inherit an enormous amount of money. Right. Life changes for them. Because you have added responsibilities and burdens around money. So money is not just, with money comes a lot of responsibility and a lot of issues. Taxes, where you're going to put your money, how can you shelter it? You're going to put it in property, or the property that you buy going to be going up or down in value. All these things are very real. It's only real to people who don't have money. I mean, it's only not an issue to people who don't have money because they don't understand per se what goes along with having lots of money.
Yeah, but that's going to happen wherever you live at, though. So whether you live in Greenwich, Connecticut, or
right,
you live in the inner cities of Bridgeport, so that's going to happen any place.
So ultimately, you're saying what? You live in your community, you get lots of money, and you don't want to leave. Right,
and then but you're forced to leave because you just confirming it's a high security risk. People gonna know that you have a lot of, and then that's the burden.
I think security is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can be secure in any neighborhood. It's just a matter of what measures you take to be secure, and part of that security protocol might be keep your mouth shut and stay low.
Stay low, right?
But nobody knows.
But once they see a $400,000 Lamborghini.
Yeah, you're gonna have to suck up the $400,000 Lamborghini. Keep that at your vacation home.
Okay, so you don't.
Like, why would you park it in front of the house? I mean, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. So nothing good about that makes sense. Because, like I say, my friend had his BMW parked in the garage.
Right.
I didn't even know that he had a BMW.
Now you might get someone to throw a brick through the window simply because it's sitting there.
Right. You wouldn't want that. So So that car, like you say, if you're gonna stay there. Obviously, you need a garage. Like you say, it'd be stupid to keep a luxury car.
Right. I don't think it's practical to have a $400,000 car in certain places that you might choose to live.
Right.
It's just not practical.
And but the inner city is one.
Right. Get a nice, get you a. I mean, you can have a nice car. Get a Mercedes or something, and you have it totally fully loaded with the maximum package that you can put in it.
Right.
On the outside, it looks just like a regular Mercedes, and people can wrap their head around.
Right.
He has a nice Mercedes. They don't need to know that it costs $300,000.
No.
It just looks like a Mercedes. And, but, you got a $400,000 flashy car,
Nothing good is going to come out of that in the long run.
Right. Why? Yeah. Why? Just why? Why? You showing off?
Well, but is it any? I guess it's a big difference because if you have a $400,000 luxury car in Greenwich, Connecticut, you're going to fit in because most likely people on the same
other
street
people, right? The neighborhood, that's what other folks have.
Right.
And when you go out to eat, other cars are like that. You live down in Greenwich, in a very wealthy community where. There's no prices on the menu, and you walk in and then, you don't roll up in your Yugo.
But you said the key thing though. When people who don't have money start, and you got all these extra family members coming to you, like you say every single day, I got this problem. Can you help me out? You just don't. I mean, it's just going to change your life to a burden now because
your life will change for you dramatically when you come into large sums of money. Life changes.
But the point I think you're confirming to me is you don't build a $2 million mansion on Richfield Street, and you don't have.
I wouldn't recommend that. I understand what you're saying. I'm not so sure that number, with the price of housing today, $2 million, you could put $2 million in a house anywhere in the city. Well, not anywhere, but on Richfield Street, you could put $2 million in a house. And it may not be something that's necessarily a mansion.
Yeah.
Because you can put stuff inside the house that would pump the price up through the roof.
Yeah.
Heated marble floors, marble kitchen, nice basement. You could, bulletproof the glass. I mean, you can roll up into $2 million in a heartbeat.
Right. But I'm not saying the house as a mansion style. It's gonna stand out.
Right. I wouldn't put a $4 million house.
Yeah.
On Ridgefield Street.
Well, that's a mansion now you're talking about.
Right.
I said a mini mansion, but now you're saying $4 million is gonna be like a mansion.
That's
so
yeah.
You wouldn't put a mansion on Ridgefield Street.
Right. I don't know what you define as mansion versus mini mansion versus big house. Versus
Well, mini mansion can stand out. Because I don't know if you ever remember the late Reverend Ritter. He had a big house on Tower Avenue.
I remember
the
his house on
very,
Tower Avenue,
very,
yeah.
very nice house.
Yeah.
And that probably would be something more blended that you could put on Ridgefield Street or certain streets like that.
The parsonage for AME Zion Church is on Ridgefield. That's a nice house.
Okay. I haven't known.
There's a lot of nice houses on Ridgefield.
Yeah, that's why I said that. That's why I chose.
Right,
that
but I
street.
mean, you could easily do. I could see people over there with the $400,000 or $500,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For houses,
Well,
but I think more Scarborough
Street is a better street that would blend together more naturally. But I was just saying, if somebody born or raised on Ridgefield Street, they just wanted to stay there. But you can't always.
When you have money, you can do what you want. If you want to put money, you want to put a $4 million into the house, so be it. You're gonna have a hard time when it comes to selling it.
Yeah.
Because people in the market for a $4 million house don't want to live in a city where the tax rate is what it is.
But it is, yeah.
And they're generally not going to build that kind of a house unless they have lots of money and could care less about the taxes.
But I guess my whole point really was just that how would you feel now every day, functioning in the same inner city with that kind of money comparable to how life used to be, now. So when you want to drive down, let's say the Albany Avenue and go to, you got a lot of you got places to go, like a restaurant, you like Scotty's. Well, not, Scotty's, that's on Albany Avenue, bakery, and it wouldn't be wise to roll up in a $400,000 Lamborghini.
If you're driving through town, on your way to Albany in Boston, you're taking the back road, you come down Route 44, and there's old Scott's Bakery.
Yeah.
And you roll up in there, get you a beef patty and a cocoa bread, right?
Right.
One patty of bread, right? Patty and get your cocoa bread, some carrot juice.
Yeah.
Beef stew or something like that, stewed beef, chicken, and jump in the car and keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling, right.
No big thing.
But you don't.
But if you're aware of where you're going and every day, if it's just a car and you're a part of the community, and before long people just think of it as that's your car.
That's your car, yeah.
And they don't think anything of it. But there's a certain amount of tact, class, and just regular respect. You don't drive around showing off in your car and you come down from Avon Mountain in your mansion and drive through the hood tooting the horn at people, and that's just showing off. To me.
Showing off, yeah.
That's unnecessary.
Right. But I mean, just you driving down Albany Avenue and going to downtown.
If it's the car you have, you drive it like you would any other car. It's just a car.
Right. But I'm concerned the factors of risk factors that people, like you said you wouldn't keep that car parked in the driveway. That would be a bad mistake.
Right.
I think somebody would try to steal and break into your car, but
why wouldn't they steal and break into other cars?
Right.
Corollas get broken into.
Yeah.
The Kias, the Kia kids, right? What do they call themselves? The Kia, they run around stealing Kias.
Kias, yeah.
The community that lives within the block radius of Albany Avenue, Ridgefield Street, Vine Street, Tower Avenue,
yeah.
All right. Asylum, Farmington Avenue, Maple Avenue, North Main, Weathersfield.
Yeah.
The people in these communities are not going to just break into your car because you have a nice car. That's not the kind of people that live in Hartford.
Right. Well, this is the area I really
Hartford
want
is
to
a
go.
really nice city, and most of the areas of the city have very, very good, decent people. The criminal-minded individual could care less where he or she is. If they see an opportunity, they're going to seize it and take something that doesn't belong to them. Those are the people you have to be worried about. And they're everywhere.
Everywhere,
Not
yeah.
just in Hartford. They're in Avon, they're in Greenwich, you know.
Well, even the person that got killed last week, and they found the body on Plainville Street. That's not a reflection of Plainville Street. That they claim that report was indicate that person got stabbed and killed in Keeney Park. And I don't know if the person was trying to drive away or whatever. Then he ended up being found on Plainville. So that's not a reflection of that area.
What I had heard is that they were on their way to somebody that they think lived on the street. They could have given them aid.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that.
I had heard that. I don't know how true that is.
Well, that's a strong possibility because the hospital, you're not going to St. Francis or Hartford Hospital in that direction. So that's more likely probably what happened.
Yeah, in Plainville, I mean, it's very close to Keeney Park.
Keeney Park, yeah.
So I don't know. These are unfortunate things that happen, and they're outside of the control of most people. Otherwise, they wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, but I'm saying overall, Plainfield is a very nice, quiet residential area.
Yep.
It's not a reflection. There's something led on that street, obviously, and but the first thing people got to be aware of: don't put your neighborhood down because one element happened. Even if the incident happened directly on Plainfield Street, that's not a reflection of everyday life in that area. So those are the things. Those are the more important things that, like you say, how people view their city and how they view their streets and everything. But yeah, I mean that was hypothetical, talking about a mini mansion, and like you say, I chose Richfield Street. I didn't want to choose Barber Street because I think that would obviously say
the mini mansion on Barber.
Because there's no mini mansion. There's no. I hate to say it, but there's really not many nice homes overall. I mean, there's some okay homes on Barber Street, but it's kind of on the way. But although there are some fixed-up properties on Barber, I can't say that.
I think Barber Street's gonna make a little rebound. We'll see. But we're running out of time, Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
All right.
So.
No problem.
All right. Well, we gotta get set up for Jonathan's program here, All About You. And I think our technical issues have been resolved here.
Oh, that's good.
Our computer was really jammed up and going through all kinds of issues, but it seems to have corrected itself 20 minutes before it's necessary. Absolutely necessary. All right, so you all have a great day. Of course, Jonathan Smalls here every Tuesday morning. So we'll see you next Tuesday here on Morning Talk.
Morning Talk, right.
Right, okay. All right, so stick and stay, don't go anywhere. 11 o'clock, Jonathan will be back if you're watching us live for All About You with his special guests. You all have a great rest of your day. We'll let Jay Hogart take us out.